A Hotel Transylvania sequel. We really didn't need one. Hotel Transylvania 2. So Hotel Transylvania 2 is the sequel to Hotel Transylvania, and in this movie, Mavis and her husband now, not remembering his name, they had a child, and Dracula really hopes that the child is a vampire, and he is trying to get his, fangs out the whole movie. And there you go, you got your premise. Alright, so here's one thing I really like about this movie, and that is, every time a first movie comes out and it's really good, you really think it's good, then with the sequel, they just blow everything out of the water. Like, everything you really liked about the first is improved on, and all the problems you had with the first are gone. Well, that's exactly what Hotel Transylvania 2 did for me. Adam Sandler does even better in this movie than he did in the last one. The animation is even more expressive in this movie. The comedy is more sharp. The colors are more inventive. The relationships are better. In fact, almost everything I like about the first Hotel Transylvania is better in this movie. Except for the plot. Now, don't get me wrong, the plot of this movie's fine. I didn't really buy it. I mean, I like the relationship standpoint of it, but I didn't really like the way it's set up. Also, this movie has a lot of jokes, and that really carries the movie for me. They make it really enjoyable. If it wasn't that funny, I'd still like it, but I wouldn't think it's as good as I do think it is. Another problem I really have with this movie is the movie is under an hour and a half long. Like, barely under. That's like an hour and 29 minutes long. But it feels like, let's say that the movie really feels, there's so many moments of this movie where you're like, this is pointless. You just had one plot. And it didn't stretch to an hour and a half. So now let's throw a bunch of things that we don't really care about in there. Great, it's not like the 15, 7, 8 appearance of the whole movie's that. But it is definitely... it is definitely seeable when you're watching this movie to see, like, every time it cuts back to Mavis and her husband having fun, you're just like, can we just go back to Dracula and the family? Drac and the Pack, that's what they call them, whatever. I just really didn't like it when it wasn't Dracula and all in the pack there. I'm gonna call them Drac and the Pack. The Drac Pack there. I really liked when it was the Drac Pack, but I didn't really buy it when it was Mavis and her wife, her husband. I just didn't really care. At least the scenes with Mavis and her husband could be funny, but they're not. And it's not, the same thing happens in this movie that happens in the last movie, where the humor happens when the humor isn't funny, it moves on off of a joke. It makes a joke and it moves on. It doesn't really stay on a joke. And there are in the last movie, there are quite a few jokes in that movie that were kind of, not very good. But in this movie, there are a few jokes that are not very good, but the majority of the jokes, like maybe 80% of the jokes, are actually very funny and got me laughing. Another thing in this movie is Dracula with his phone where he has to, touch the screen. Yeah. It's quite pointless, and I didn't really like that aspect of this movie. But another thing I really like is Mavis is kind of that overprotective mother, and she wants to make sure that Dennis is okay. So there. Also, Dracula's dad is in this, and he's at the very end, he maybe says a couple lines. But I thought he was funny, and I thought he was super cool anime. I really like the animation. I really like the character designs in this movie. I think that they up the color in this movie, so it's way nicer to look at this movie than it is the last one. A lot of the color schemes in the last movie really don't make it that nice to look at, but I still think the first one's very nice to look at, but this movie has really nice colors to look at. You're like, that's really cool. And when Dracula's dad comes in, I like how the dad is kind of he's like super well designed. I really like the way he's just designed. I really like that. However, I kind of lucked out of the movie. If you ask me before the third act what I think of this movie, I'd be like, it's better than the first. It's more imaginative. It's more colorful, it's more funny. The characters are better in this movie. I would like it more. Until the third act comes around, the movie feels like it just drags it out. And it's really lame, and by the end, I kind of locked out. I was locked in for the first 2 acts. Third act, I really locked out. So a lot of this movie, like the final third of this movie, I really didn't care at that point. I just kind of locked out of the movie, and it was sad because I really wanted to join the movie. And also the last third is funny. It has quite a few jokes, but I didn't really laugh. It just felt like we were dragging this movie out. Because in the end, I don't mean to sound negative. I really did enjoy Hotel Transylvania 2. And I think it's a very solid sequel. But I don't love it. I think that it's a bit dragged out by the end. But overall, it's more colorful, more imaginative, more funny. The characters are pushed farther in this movie. I do like this movie less than the first Hotel Transylvania, but it's still a passably fine movie. I will give Hotel Transylvania 2 a 7. And you know what? If you're saying I'm underrating this movie, check what the critics say. The first has a 4%. This one has a 55%. It's a comedy! Don't be Animat. Alright, so Hotel Transylvania 2, what do you guys think on it? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe. There are multiple new videos. I already gave my teaser in the last video, but whatever. See you guys next time. Goodbye.